and tell you that the woman also was given the right to choose her own husband. A woman cannot be married without her consent under any circumstances. There's a lot of advice given on how to choose the proper spouse for your daughter or for your son. I only wish Muslims of today followed any of them. I only wish the Muslims of today, our mothers and our fathers, gave the girls their right, the right that they were ordered to give to their daughters, and letting their daughters choose their own husbands. When looking for a husband for our daughters, we are supposed to look first at the religious nature of the individual. First and foremost, religious nature. And then you look towards things that increase compatibility. So you're going to look at educational level, you're going to look at social status, you're going to look at a lot of other things, but first and foremost is the religious standing of the individual and their understanding of Quran and Sunnah. And if you choose a son-in-law, no matter how much money he has, if he is not living by the Sunnah, your daughter will never be treated the way that she has a right to be treated. And your grandchildren will never have the joy that they have a right to. And it will be your responsibility because you have chosen your son-in-law for the wrong reasons. As well as a woman was given the right to choose her own husband, the woman was also given the right to divorce. That's right. A lot of people think that divorce is only a right of men. This is not true. You will read in the Sunnah that a woman came before the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ requesting a divorce from her husband. And the Prophet questioned her, and she admitted that this was a very good man. He was a very kind man. He would provide for her very well. She just didn't like the way he looked. That's all. She didn't like the way he looked, and he granted her a divorce. Just on those grounds and those grounds alone. There's a lot of people who talk about, well, you know, divorce laws are not fair in Islam because all a man has to do is say, I divorce you 3 times and his divorce is finished. But a woman has to go before a qadi in order to get her divorce. Let's not confuse culture and cultural practices with what is in the Quran. Think about this a little bit as you're studying Quran and Sunnah. Okay, yes, a man pronounces 3 times divorce. He must wait until his wife is clean from her menses. And then he makes pronouncement number 1. Okay, so this is not done in a state of anger. He has to wait until she's clean from a second menses to make the second pronunciation, and he must wait until the third menses to make the third pronunciation. He must spend that entire 3 months. His divorce is not granted like this, and he can't stand there and say, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. This is not a proper divorce, and it's not an acceptable divorce. And it is punishable. Now the woman, when the woman decides to seek divorce, she goes before the qadi. The divorce is granted, finished. I'm not saying this is the way it's practiced in countries. I'm saying this is the way it's written in the Sunnah. It's finished. Now a man, when he takes his divorce, there's a possibility that he can go back with his wife. When a woman takes a divorce, it's irrevocable. Brothers, don't ever make your wives unhappy enough to divorce you, because you cannot have them again. Don't drive your wives to divorce. You may get upset, but don't drive your wife enough to make her get upset to divorce you. It's finished. But I ask you, which one is really easy? Not which one is practiced in different countries, but by the Sunnah, which one? I don't think the man has the privilege in this. Now, one of the wonderful things also is that the Quran has provided the woman with protection throughout her married life. He must treat her with compassion, kindness, and love. These are the words that are used in the Quran. Kindness, compassion, and love. He must work with her in mutual consultation, because on the day of judgment, the man is called to account for every unhappiness that he causes to his wife. Every bit of unhappiness the man is held responsible for, okay? Because on the day of judgment, you're going to have to answer for the unhappiness you bring your husbands to. Okay? The Quran says we are beautiful garments, one for the other. And when you look at this wonderful, wonderful description of a marriage relationship, beautiful garments, one for the other, and then you think about what kind of garment you would wear above all other garments, and then you strive to be this kind of a garment for your wife or for your husband. You don't want to be a stiff and hard garment that they're eager to throw off. You don't want to be a heavy, overly decorated garment that's not comfortable to wear all the time. You want to be a garment that makes you feel warm, safe, secure, and loved. And this is the kind of garment you struggle to be for each other. The garment that demonstrates the ultimate compassion, the ultimate kindness, and the ultimate love. The garment that grows better with years and never wears out, and never grows old, and never becomes worn. This is the description of the husband and the wife. And the relationship between the husband and wife is second only to the relationship between the Prophet and Allah. That's how important the relationship is. And Allah has protected the marriage by calling us into arbitration whenever we have problems. We don't just rush off to get a divorce. We must go through arbitration. And the arbitration is accomplished not only with the man and the woman, but there's the man, the woman, her representative, and his representative. And all of these sit together to try to resolve the problem. 90% of problems between husbands and wives are failure to communicate. Allah knew this. This is why we have the arbitration. The husband and the wife are fighting. They're not listening to each other, and they're sure that he wants this and she wants that, and you sit down and listen to them and they both want the same thing. But they're not listening to each other, and they're not communicating. So when we go through arbitration, we can save the marriage and make the marriage better and make the marriage stronger. Of all those things which are permitted, that which is hated most is divorce. But divorce may occur where it is necessary, because Allah knows that it is better for two people to separate than to live in discord and unhappiness, because their unhappiness will come down upon the children, come down upon the society, and generate more problems. So it is better to separate than to live in discord. Now, in the case of divorce, again, the women were protected, the children were protected, and the man was protected. A divorce in Islam must be amicable. None of this he said, she said stuff. Okay? You are not allowed to talk bad about your ex-husband or your ex-wife. Whatever went on between the two of you is between the two of you and is not to be spread to the rest of the world. Period. You can't say something good, you don't say anything at all. Such wisdom in this. Because when a man and a woman separate, usually what is occurring is they are promptly telling every bad thing they ever imagined about each other. And who is the one that suffers? The child. The child who loves both the mother and the father. The child who needs both the mother and the father. The child who has a right to both the mother and the father. And these two so-called adults are ripping each other apart so much that they forget the needs of the child, and the child is the one that pays the price. Now remember that another injunction tells us that we're not supposed to be listening to the backbiting. So if you hear somebody complaining about how bad their ex-husband or their ex-wife was, you're not allowed to listen to it. You have to get up and walk away, because on the day of judgment you will have to answer for that. And this is a protection also for the community, because the community then is not swept into the uglinesses of divorces. You see how things are all protected? Allah does not protect one, He protects everyone. You can see where He protects the woman. In this He protects the child, in this He also protects the community.